This evening's storytelling event is an opportunity for us to reflect, celebrate, and envision the journey of our remarkable organization. The Tigray Community of Colorado is more than just a community organization. It is a beacon of unity, resilience, and hope. Tonight, we're privileged to hear from three extraordinary leaders whose dedication has shaped TCC's story. First, we'll hear from Dr. Welde Jesus and Mr. Tesfai Adera, who served on the TCC board from 2010 to 2016. They will take us back in time, sharing insights into the early years of TCC, the challenges they faced, and the foundational values that guided their leadership. Then we'll hear from Ms. Militi Berhanemeskan, our current president and executive director. Militi will not only share how the organization has grown and evolved in recent years, but will also offer a powerful vision for the future of TCC and the broader Tigrayan community here in Colorado. As we listen to their stories, I encourage all of us to think about how their leadership, dedication, and vision inspire each one of us to contribute to this legacy. Thank you for being here tonight to honor our past, embrace our present, and dream together for the future. As we hear all the stories throughout the evening, we welcome comments, questions, and additional stories from the audience. I see other previous board members and community leaders and volunteers among us who can contribute their perspectives. So whenever you have anything to add, please come down this middle aisle and we will give you the mic. And it can be at any time during the discussion. We want this to be a lively discussion for all of us. And I also want to give a special shout out for our out-of-town guest, but someone who's come back home, Dr. Weldu. Let's just give a special round of applause for Dr. Weldu for coming from Portland, Oregon, just for this event. So thank you, Dr. Weldu. Now, please join me in welcoming our speakers, Tesfai Adera, Dr. Weldu Welde Jesus, and Militi Berhanemeskan.
Thank you. Thank you, Aksum. Before I pass the mic on to hear some of our earlier stories, I just want to reiterate what Aksum said, which is this is a really big story. You know, it's been over 30 years since the Tigray Community of Colorado was first established. And I also want to note that we're now literally officially the Tigray Community of Colorado. We actually changed our bylaws and our name and tightened it up to reflect who we are. So that is our actual name now. As you know, it was much longer before. And I also just want to bring your attention to the slide behind us, which has the very original document that was filed to start the organization and the four individuals whose names are on this document. So you can see in the background here, I know it's a little bit hard to see, but my father's there, Berhanemeskan Berhani. We also have Gabra Selassie Weldu, which you all know as Daftara, or we all know as Daftara. Tatlu Abraha, who, may he rest in peace, has passed away, and also Fatui Abraha. So these were the original names of the folks who had a vision for what our community could look like and what we could become. And so we're grateful for their work. The one thing I will say that, and I'll share some stories later, that oftentimes the mothers and the women are missing from the story, and we know they were there. So I did talk to my mom, who happens to be back home right now because my grandmother's sick, but I did talk to her a little bit about some of the original stories about how the community would gather. So I look forward to sharing some of those stories with you. But for now, I'd love to pass the mic on and just whatever thoughts you feel like you're ready to share.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity, and thank you everybody for being here. We're expecting more people to be around so that the stories we tell could be heard by more people. And I hope we will continue to have similar stories in the future. In different settings, you know, so this could be a good beginning, and it's also a great honor for me to be here. I say myself, when I introduce myself, I say that I am from Colorado. Colorado is my home state. Before even saying anything else, because I spent 21 and a half years of my life in Colorado. My signature in my emails still says that, still says Waldisha the Boulder. Because I love Boulder, I love the University of Colorado, my alma mater, so it's an honor to be home. And I'm happy to share some of the major experiences we had as leaders of the community. But at the same time, I would also reflect on the hard work of the people who led the community association, beginning from its inception by 4 of our older brothers and sisters, or some of them fathers. And then we'll reflect on our own personal experience when we received the leadership from our older brothers and sisters. Not only that, I will also, more importantly, reflect on some of the concerns I have. I have always been working with the youth and children, as you know, whether it is through the church, through our church, or through our community, and I'm going to express some of my serious concerns, because some of them, to me, they are, I would even call them emergency. What can we do as a people? What can we do as Tagaru, as a unit, in order to do something which wouldn't make us regret after it is too late? So maybe if we divide our time, I would keep that for the second part of what I'm going to say, because that's more important for us. It's important to look into the past, but at the same time, it's also important to talk about how things are going now, and then what things are going to look like in the future. So I'm going to talk about those. By the way, I'm a father of 4, and I have started to worry about the future of my children now. And Tasfa and I, since we met this afternoon, we've been talking about our children. So every member of this community, the young ones, they are our children. The older ones, they are our brothers and sisters. And then those who are in their 70s and 80s, they are going to be our parents. So we will be touching on all this. Having said that, this community association, if I remember correctly, it was founded in 1993. So when immigrants come to this country, they had passed through lots of hardship. The initial people who came to this country, they are called I-20 I-20 immigrants. They came during the imperial era. They came for educational purposes. And then they were very limited, and most of them, they went back home. Why? Because educated people, if they go back home, chances are they would assume high government positions, because there were no educated people at that time. And then during the military rule, during the military government, there was, as you know, political repression, persecution, and they had to flee for their lives. So lots of refugees, primarily from the Sudan, but from Kenya and other countries, they had to flee for their lives, and then they were given the opportunity to come here. These are political refugees, and I don't think immigrants would be appropriate for them, especially for the early life, for the early stages of their life, because they endured too much hardship. In fact, some of them, when I interviewed them for some of the papers that I wrote, including some chapters of my dissertation. Some of them, even if there was lots of hardship, they have some kind of nostalgia to the quality of life in Sudan. In terms of what? In terms of the care for each other. You know, in terms of that communal life, the community life that they experienced in the Sudan. But the hardship is hard to explain. So the political refugees came. And then, so that was influx. And then the DV lottery was introduced by the State Department, because every year the State Department offers 55,000 visas to make sure that countries that are underrepresented in terms of population volume would have their people come here. And I heard lately that President Trump is going to probably avoid that. Anyway, the huge influx came through the diversity visa lottery. So when we look at the initial stages, they came from Ethiopia. They didn't have enough linguistic background, so their English was very limited, and they had to navigate through the storm that they never expected. Some of them, they stayed in the Sudan for a few years, and some of them, they are even transnational immigrants, because before coming to the U.S., it was not only to one country they went. They went to somewhere in Europe, and then some of them to Canada, and from Canada finally to the United States. So you can imagine how hard it was. So these forefathers, even if they are the ones who signed on the document, as the military said earlier, there are lots of other older brothers and sisters who have been behind them. So the creation of the community association and the creation of our church, they went simultaneously, because they needed the community association to make them united, to make them help each other. When other new arrivals come, it was an opportunity for them to welcome them. It was a means of sharing the joy and the hardship together. So you can see the vision they had. If they didn't set up that community association, it wouldn't have been the way it is now. So we have to be very grateful to them, to the original founders. I would ask a round of applause to them. And the leadership of the community association, they were not the only ones. After they did enough, after they served enough, there were a lot of board leaders who came, who took over. It was like a relay. Everybody was trying to contribute their share to strengthening the community association. They were do the best they could. Because at times when, the hardship is when we hear lots of our loved ones back home. That was the hardest part of it. Because you cannot easily fly and visit your family, mourn, and share that with your family back home and come back. It's not that easy. So the only way they had was to be able to be together here and then mourn together, comfort those who have lost their loved ones, and then move on. If this community association, if the church, if they were not there, we can imagine how hard things could have been. So we have to be grateful to all past board leaders.
I started thinking about a lot of things when you were talking, because when we came here, so when my family came here, it was 80, 82. And when we came, there were probably, I mean, you could count on one hand how many Ethiopian families there were in Colorado at that time. And I vividly remember, we would go to Lakewood and, with Haile Mikhail's kids. We all grew up together. And I was asking my mom, because obviously my dad has passed, so I can't ask him anymore. But I asked my mom, why did you guys start this, the Tigray community? What was the motivation? And, she said a few things that stood out to me. One, she said they were afraid. So they were worried about, they're in a new country, they don't speak the language, they don't know the culture, they have all of these kids. There was a fear of being lost. And so that stuck with me when she shared that. The other thing is, she told me lots of funny stories, including she said, "You almost died at one of the meetings." And I was like, what? What do you mean by that? But apparently they would meet in different people's homes, including Haile, I forget his last name, Haile Nice. What's his last name? Gavrit Arkan, thank you. They would meet at his house often, and he lived on the second floor, and all the kids, we would go and play while our parents were meeting. And apparently I slid down the stairs once, and I was like hanging from the rails, and they had to come save me. But anyway, in her eyes, she's like, "You almost died." But I said, "What do you guys do when you get together and you're talking? What are you guys talking about?" And she said, "Militia, I don't know. We would just come together, and it was just being together. It was comforting. It was a way for us to connect. It was connection, which when you were talking about Sudan and the fond memories people have, it's the connection in the community. And that was their vision. So I often think now, and I want to know why you joined the board. When you joined the board, what was going through your mind when you joined, and what were some of the challenges you guys were going through? Because I think about that now in my position currently on the board, and I think about why I joined, and I'll share that story later. But I think about the fear that they had for their kids, and how for a lot of our community, it's getting better and better for our kids, but there were a number of them that it didn't work out so well for, including my own brother. So, I think about those stories and, what were the fears, what were the goals of those original founders and everyone after that. And some of you are in the audience, too, who were very active, so please come and share your stories, too, if there's something you want to share. But can you talk about when you joined the board and what the challenges were during your time on the board in general community, but specifically with where we were as a community association at that time?
Thank you, Lati. Before I go there, one thing that came to my mind as we were speaking, the original founders, when they came to this country, the linguistic challenge being one, but overall, they were coming to a culture that was alien to them. So the fear is understandable because they are in a place that they have never been to. The communication challenge, even those of us who we didn't have any problem with the language, it was navigating through the culture here was not easy. So you can imagine, they were the original settlers, and then the challenge on their part was enormous. So when I came and started attending the community events, when Tatamka was the president, that was when I started coming. Because before that, I was busy with my schoolwork, and I didn't know many people. And then, but that time, I started making friends, and Nagash is my high school friend, and ended up meeting here. And he was the only one who was inviting me to come, to join. I started. So one thing that I saw, something unpleasant, was that our older brothers didn't have respect for each other. I was, especially at one time, I had to raise my hand and I had to speak. I had to say that if one of us makes a mistake, instead of rebuking him, insulting him, the right course would have been to help him. That's what the community is meant for. But sometimes the community association, it was being used as a battleground. By the way, I've always been critical about our older brothers and sisters back home. I know that they have the desire to die for a cause. That part, I greatly appreciate it. Because they didn't, whether it is on different camps of the political spectrum, everybody was willing to sacrifice their lives for their cause. That part is extraordinary. We have to appreciate it. But the tolerance, it was not there. So they invited me to join the board. When I was a student, I refused because I want to focus on my studies. But after I finished, I was ready to serve. Before that, I was telling them, no, it's not the time. And then the question was, now you have already graduated, you are asking, I have to wait. It's time to join. When I joined, Tasfish and I, it was that time when we started to be friends. We knew each other, but it was just from a distance. But I would share something which is very emotional. Tasfish had a tragic traffic accident. And then it was between life and death. So a friend, we were already introduced each other at that time, but we went with other friends to see him. He was helpless. It was an oculus called surgery. And then I felt that he was lonely. He didn't have anybody to go and see him. So one night, I was coming from Boulder, and then I said, before I come, it was Eve of Easter. And then I went to see him. He was lying on the bed alone. He had horrible things coming on in his mind, because he told me after that. And then, for him, as he said it was sunshine. My arrival there was sunshine. And for me, to spend that moment with him, it was an opportunity to comfort him, to strengthen him, to tell him that he has some people who would be next to him. And then, my plan was to go to the church at 10 o'clock, but I went at about 1 or 1:30. The church service was almost over. I mean, there is candle lighting and things like that. Anyway, all that was over, and I cannot exactly remember, but I was too late for the church service. Since then, we have been not just friends, we've been brothers. So we were already very close, and then when I was nominated to join the leadership, I also said that Tesfai should also be there. I was nominated, but I had to nominate him too, because everybody was suggesting who should be in the board. I said that should be in the board. So we felt that the community needed a new trajectory, a new leadership, and some of our older brothers and sisters, they were trying to get to us and then have sides with this or with that, and we didn't like it. Because my generation didn't have any opportunity to be in leadership positions in the political life of the country. It was only during the later life of Prime Minister Mellis that people of my generation started to go into the political space in Ethiopia. And then we used that time to bring new hope. Instead of using it as a battleground, to use it as a place where we can push the community forward. That was our primary reason, to join. And then we were discussing a lot as the board at that time, exchanging ideas, what should we do? So one of the things we did was, let's ask, so one of the visions was, we should have a community center. If we don't have a community center, our visibility would be very small. We are not going to be recognized as a community association. So what should we do to own our own community center? So we said that we should ask money, which our former brothers and sisters were not courageous to name. It was not too big. It was 500, but we know how we were getting that 500 from our brothers and sisters. Did they have the capacity to do that? Of course. We have seen in the fight against aggression what our community, what our people can do. They can raise millions of dollars. When we were threatened as a people, we were able to raise that. But at that time, we said, let's ask 500. Instead of asking too much from a few people, if everybody here is able to contribute $500, we should be able to our own community center. We didn't do it in our life, in our leadership time, but the people who came after us, they did it. They owned our place. And now, when Militi and the other members of the new board, the younger generation, came in, you said, Militi, you are doing extraordinary work. I was a little skeptical because you know what Militi has been doing. Because she raised her family, she ran her own business, she was involved in the fight against aggression. How is she able to shoulder this responsibility? You have proven me wrong, and I'm proud of you. Because this is amazing, and then it was not possible for me to come here today. And then I sent her a message saying, Militi, I'm sorry to say this, but I'm not going to make it. I sent her. And then when she responded, I felt that she was heartbroken. And I had a little bit of a car accident, and I had a test because I had too much pain on the left back of my head, and then I had a CT scan. I was worried because it was connected to my neck, and when they told me that the result of the CT scan was, was good, nothing wrong, I immediately, after I heard the result, they called me and they left me a message, and I had to call back to the doctors to learn about the result. And they told me that everything is positive, and immediately I called her, and then there is a possibility that I'll be here. So that is part of our story. So I feel that we are in good hands, but still we have a lot more to do. Thank you, Militi.
A little bit, yes. Thank you, T, and the board for organizing such a very important event to share the experience and also to discuss about the future of our community, which is very important. As Wilsha mentioned earlier, I was in a very difficult situation because of the accident. Beside the medical complication, I had faced a very harsh legal battle with the company that I used to work for, and there was nobody uh, that that organized enough to help me. So everything that we have to do ourselves, me and Wilbur and other friends, we sat and research what we have to do next, what will be next. So uh, we have learned that the importance of having a strong community association that can support people that seeking help, people who's passing through difficult times. So when I got the invitation, this was like invitation to join the board, I didn't hesitate. I'm not sure I had any plan to serve the community, but the hardship that I passed through, it taught me that I have to share my experience. I have to contribute to the well-organized, to form a well-organized community. Um, so we joined the community in 2010, and glad that I've got a chance to work with very, very nice people, especially Wadsh and Wadaya. Those are we knew personally each other, family and friends. Um, but also they are the easiest people to work with. They are easy, they always bring greater ideas, very easy to discuss. Sometimes like we battle, but when we get out, we are friends, we are brothers. So one of the first challenge that we have faced when it came to the community was the awareness of purpose of community association. So we sat and discussed that what we have to do, what will be our first thing that we have to do is creating awareness. We have to tell the people that what is community, what is the purpose of community, why we need to have a community association. And so we categorize the people, the youth, the, the, the general adult that works on transportation business and all that, and the educated ones, which later found out that it's very hard to to convince. And so we shared those groups. First I handled the youth. I was very young then, and we will also assigned to address the educated members of our community, and what they educators. So we start having more meetings with those who assigned work, and it was really difficult. People had most people, not most, of course, a few people don't really understand the difference between alumni associations and community associations, developmental associations and community associations. They consider alumni associations as a community associations, which has nothing to do of our business in here. People always care about the home businesses, cultivating finance, building schools, all kind of libraries and all that. But if something happened to us here, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna support ourselves individually or as a community? We have to elevate. We have to take part on this country's political, social aspects. And to do that, we have to get organized. That's one way, the main thing. And socially, we have to get along with each other. We have to get close with each other. Not only like Aksum is the Aksumatic, but as a Tagaru, we have to come together. One of the only means that bring us together without any difference, political understanding or affiliation or religious difference. The only thing that brings us together as a Tagaru is association. So we work really hard, and somehow I believe we succeed on that regard. People start learning about how important community is. So whenever we have like party, we had like two, right? Two community nights and one community day. A lot of people start coming to our events. On those events, we start selling those ideas and start having more membership. We used to charge only $5 a month just to people to encourage, to come, not worry about this and that. So it was really encouraging. Our people, when they start understanding, they are highly, highly supportive. And I really want to thank the general Tagaru community for their unlimited support. So as earlier mentioned, and the next goal was having a place, like we call it Gaza, Gaza Tagaru. So we rented a very little office somewhere in Parker and Florida area. I remember Hyderabad we paid like some months of rents, and we start opening the office like twice a week, 3 times a week, and start delivering services. Not only that, we have food truck, like we go to interpret for members, all kind of like, job. Some of them not related with community. And it was an amazing support from our members. And later, like the second term came, and we have been elected, re-elected again, and we were really energized by the support of our members. Man, now this is the time to plan to have our own place. Let's ask our people, they are so generous. Let's ask them, like, each and every member to pay $500. We thought that it's very easy for us for the people with $500, we can have one property. And a lot of people contributed for that money. But later we got out that that's not enough to have a property. But it was a very good starting point. So we were so happy how much people were supported. But later we understand that this can be solved only by a board member which is formed by kids that grow up here. Those who can understand how things work in here, who don't have any language barrier, who knows how to do things, the right and easiest way. And we said, like, the second generation has to take over. Otherwise, with this, Odisha somehow has, very good understanding among us about how things work. But people like me, when I came to the work, I stayed in this country only for 3 years. So I was fairly new. I didn't know much about how things are there. And the board after us came, have land at least, and then we are planning to build a property that worth millions of dollars. For me, it's like a dream. We were struggling to have like $500 house, some kind of like property. Now, like I always tell you, this is that. I had an ambition of like we have some kind of structure, feasibility, but not this large. It's really amazing. So come to Tigray and I was benefited for serving the community. That makes me very Tigray. Also, it gives me a chance to contribute what I have, which is, helps me like, yeah, we together can make a difference if we come together. That's the biggest point. When it comes to community, we shouldn't really think of any. There was a problem like at the beginning that people are suspected us of affiliated with political associations. For that reason, like we were refrained from celebrating any kind of, even like those at home it's a national holiday. It's not politically affiliated holiday. But we are very careful not to celebrate them, because if you celebrate, people might think that we are affiliated with certain political entities. And we say, like, what? Don't do that. Let's do the community now. It's also financially help us to raise funds. Now I'm glad the kids who born or grow up here took over and made our dreams true and the team. I can't because when I came here, most of the board members that I was on board, they were little kids. Some people I didn't want to do it, but you and your generation, including my wife, Segera, she was also part of the board, I think, to the family. So I really thank you for your amazing leadership, not only in the community, after from the responsibility, you help us to be visible in a very difficult time for the world, and we really appreciate the diversity.
I have something to add. One thing I want to add why we joined this. I came to this country without serving enough my country. Ethiopia, I used to call it my country. I was very open to proudly call myself I was an Ethiopian, and I was saying that I have to go back and serve. I didn't serve enough, but life has its own course. It happened that I have to stay here. So one way of paying back to my people was serving the community. The community, the association, and the community, the people. All of us, Tasfai and I. By the way, when we were elected, to add to what Tasfi said earlier, Samara was there, Alam Gassas was there, Shishai was there. So when we share the workload, I was a little to the educated part. Tasfai and Shishai were on the youth. Alam Gassas was on the women part. Wadayai and Samara, they were on the older brothers and sisters part. So I just wanted to make sure that their contribution was also there. The time where Nagash, that group, I told you that they were the first ones whom I knew. One thing that they did, before that, I don't know what happened, or I don't know whether things were done or not, but when we took the leadership, the bylaws, the article of incorporation, they were done by that board. And they were signed by Tatamk as the Dingle, because he was the president at that time. So that was a big thing. By the time we came in, we didn't have that orientation. We were told that it was expired. So our community association didn't have any entity. I know that we're producing the sign that we get from the seal, the sign that we get from the Secretary of State, but with the IRS, we didn't have anything. So Peter Nagel, the one who helped us regain that, we were very frustrated because we felt that we messed up things. And then there was government shutdown. At that time, every time there is a government shutdown, the process that has to be done, it might be for a few days, but it would add like 6 months delay. So we were very frustrated, and believe me, we didn't have any sleep. We were working day and night to make sure that it was reinstated. So that was one. I would like to compliment the board before us for doing that, but at the same time, after expired, we also had to work a lot. It was, by the way, reinstatement. It was just telling us that it's now in track. We had to pay a little sum of money, but Attorney Peter Nagel, I'm not sure if he's still alive. He was a very old man when we went. He did it. He helped us when we did it again, he helped us. Actually, he was giving us ideas for free. So I would like to thank Peter Nago also for what he did to us. And the other thing, every Saturday night, I had something to go to the church, whether a support letter to employers or any kind of translation to the IRS or going and interpreting to the court. Our life at that time, we were not living for ourselves, I would tell you. We were living for our people because our people needed help. And sometimes people who gave us money for the help we gave them, because they went to the community, they were saying, this is for you. And then we were putting it into the community account. Because we were giving help in the name of our community association. So, in the name of our church, in the name of our community association, we did a lot of work to our people free of charge. And we are proud of that. We did a lot. So that was also one thing that that was done by our people, by our group as a group.
Community work is always, I hate to say it, but it's thankless work. It's really hard work, and it takes away from your personal life. So I know that was a big sacrifice. A couple things, and then I have another question. But every board got better and better, because if you think about these guys and the women who are not pictured, but we know they were part of it. What resources did they have? What knowledge did they have? They went with what they knew at that time. And sometimes I think the community association gets a bad rap, or there's stories that are told that are not accurate at all about previous boards or previous, leadership or whatever. But the reality is serving community is really, really hard. And raising money is really, really hard. And I can tell you that because we're in the midst of that right now. And what's beautiful about Tagaru is somehow we make it happen. Somehow the most incredible, impossible, amazing things happen. And while I love that you guys are here and all the men are there, it's largely led by the women. Many of them who are here right now, too. I know Ma'am Harzuriash is here. She was very instrumental in buying the land. It's my story, too. I mean, so I'll tell you how I ended up joining the board, because you guys shared your stories. I did not see myself serving in community in this role at all, to be honest. I am in business. That's what I enjoy doing. I was, previous to that, I was in journalism. I remember when you guys were on the board, I remember us meeting at a Starbucks once, and maybe you don't remember that, but I do. And I can't remember, I don't think you were asking me to join the board because I don't know, I was young and doing other things. But for some reason we met. I remember that encounter. I just never pictured, we were so involved in community from the time I was a little girl through my whole life that I wanted nothing to do with community. I wanted to just live my life and have fun and do whatever. The reason I ended up joining the board, a couple of things. First of all, obviously the genocide began in Tigray, and it was hard for me. It was a rude awakening to me about who I am, because I grew up thinking I was Ethiopian. I had no idea. I knew Tigray and I had been to Tigray, but I didn't know exactly what that meant to the extent that we learned during the genocide. So it was a time to truly understand, it was an identity thing, basically. Our identities were shattered in the midst of the genocide. So we had to rebuild that. And so that was one thing that happened. And then, our families, obviously, they had no communication, and so we had to speak for them. And so there was all of that. I found myself thrust back into the middle of community and then doing journalism work, too, because that was the need. But the reason I joined the board was because, and I know you guys are going to remember this, but in 2000, it was 2020, right? The war started 2020. And in 2021, we had 6 young people die in Colorado. 6. And some was suicide, some was drug overdose, some people don't talk about because we have a community that hides our pain instead of discusses it. And I remember having, actually people would call us from out of state, right? Because Colorado was a central organizing place. We were doing a lot of work all over the country, to raise awareness about the genocide. And people were calling and saying things like, what's going on in Colorado? Like, why are so many young people dying? And I remember thinking, well, they're dying in your state too. You guys just don't have the awareness, or that you're not, the conversation isn't happening the same way. And it was an awakening for me to say, there's only so much we can do about what's happening in Tigray. Yes, we have to speak. Yes, we have to protest. Yes, we have to do all of those things. But we completely neglected the secondary trauma that was happening with our kids. And the depression was high. Like, our community in general was depressed. And I would argue we still haven't necessarily worked through those things, but we're getting better. There's something about Tagado where we feel like we have to just be resilient. Like, all of a sudden we're okay. How is that possible? That's not possible. Like, we have to work through that trauma. So for me, because you said I was young, and young people have taken over, are in charge of the board. I'm not young, but I'm more connected maybe to young people because I grew up here. I saw a lot of it firsthand, and I was, more aware of what was happening. So to me, I thought I can only do so much for Tigray right now, but there's so much we could do here locally. And I actually remember that election. And Tesfa was like, you should be a board president. And I was like, no, vice president or something. Like, I don't want to be president. And he's like, no, you have to go for president. I don't know if you remember that conversation. And turns out that I'm the first woman president of the Tigray Community of Colorado. And it was your encouragement that pushed for that to happen. So I joined the board because I saw a significant problem with our young people not being able to really, like, express themselves and not getting the care and the treatment maybe that we need, because maybe our parents and elders don't know as much, and they think, because they've always had to just get over it, that maybe their kids would just get over it, and that's not what was happening. So that was why I joined the board. And one thing I'll say about Tagado is we've always been an insular organization. So to be 30 years old and have never asked for outside financial assistance is pretty impressive, actually, that the community, it was challenging, I know. You guys raised a lot of money that ultimately helped the next board buy the land, and now we're able to, it's a marathon, and we're able to now come in and try and develop and build our dream. We get to dream now. We get to dream because people before us worked really, really hard to bring it within reach for us to be able to do that. And so, we're going to make that happen. But I lost my train of thought, so maybe I'll leave it there and see if there's other board members here. I saw with Deba as well. If anyone wants to come up, please do. We want to hear your stories too. The point of Tarik Time is to raise the stories that often get hidden and buried and that we never tell. So please feel free. If you just stand here, we'll know you have a question to ask, and we'll connect. Yeah, here she comes. And I remember my thoughts, so I'll come back to it.
Thank you so much. I would like to say thank you to the board, and your crew, the whole young ones. We are lucky. We are thankful. We have our young ones. She doesn't like it, but you guys are young. And thank you for everything you're doing and for this being together and discussing this all. What I observe is on the discussion, Tasfish and Dr. Wandru, you're talking up to your time, So you didn't mention us. Are we getting smashed? Yeah, so I was thinking maybe they want it like 2 times, chapter 1, chapter 2. Oh, what's going on? Anyway, we are here. We can talk. Our board members, I served two times, like 2 terms, like 3 plus 3, something like that. So everything you guys said, the problem was our people don't know what community does, what's what's community sport purpose, you know. So that was, I think, the problem, because when we have Goila festival, alumni, and TDA, whatever, anything with Goila, everybody is there. But for the community, for discussion, forget it. Maybe maximum we had is 40, and then less. So that was the problem, to convince people, to mobilize our people. We had a big problem on working hard on that. Anyway, when I see things, the dedicated people are the most dedicated. Like you said, your time, your energy, your family, you know, there are a lot of questions coming from your kids, from husband, wife, everything. So we did it. The most important thing is we did it. After Tasfish and Dr. Waldo, the spirit was done and we got elected, we worked hard for this. We were going from door to door to beg for money, like it's not begging, but asking our people to help. So I remember Gash Alamayo, you know Gash Alamayo. He was the most dedicated guy. Now he's disabled, he's at home. So when he gets sick, he's not serving anymore. He was not. So he remembered last time I went to visit him because he's sick. He said, I remember what was it? My shoe? It was one of them. It was summertime. So I had this skinny, my shoes. So it was broken. One. So I was walking with one shoes. So they were laughing. They were making fun of me. We were having fun on the way. We were good family. We're still good family. And we did improve, I guess. After they did great. Before that, like you said, we had one office also, you forgot, on Colfax, when Tatamka and others were starting the community. That's the time which gets the meaning of community was coming to our, you know. We were trying hard to make it good, like community. So after them, we continue doing it. We collect money. We did our best. We were going Panera Bread. What was it? Coffee shop. Yeah, that was our most time, meeting time. We were going there, having soup, coffee, and then talking. You know, it was good. Good time. We had good understanding, and then we did it. Like he said, we were looking for 2.5 million, a big property. We are so ambitious. We go everywhere, look for places, you know. When I see empty place, like something you feel like to eat, like food, something like that. We were running around, and then finally, we got that place. This place is so, you know, it looks like for us, it's because our people are not giving much, you know. So let's get limited on this one. What do you think? Then I went. It was night time. I went. I saw it. It was very attractive. And then when I say attractive, in my at that position, our limitation of money, we know everything. So okay, this works for us, and we did make it happen. When we make it happen, Tigray, I don't think she's here right now. She remembered last time when you demolished the house, our place. She was telling about the winter time. It was the worst time. We tried to come from Panera to our place. It was so cold. So most dedicated people, we call them, we were appreciating those who come with their kids, you know. When they bring their kids, we are happy because we know through them we can go to the young ones. We know Mileta is there. They were there, but Segerida was there. But whenever young ones come, we were happy. So that's how we try to get into our young ones. They came, we're half and half. And then the next time, 100% right now, right? 100% Fatui, you are young too. So, yeah. So this, we are blessed. Denver, Colorado, at this time, is very appreciated, and everybody is wishing to work hard like Colorado than to have the same community. Thank you so much. We are so good people. Tagaru, Nehwer, we can go more. We can do more. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Aksim. I do remember. Oh, yes, sure.
Most, yeah, the most important thing I forgot is Milito was mentioning about women. Here, your auntie, she was like around. One time they called from church. I went to Fillmore. There were 5 of them. Nobody was around. I was the 6th person. So I was new. So I asked them, how many people do come for community? That's why I said earlier, we are not, we don't have that much knowledge about community. So people didn't come. How many people do you get on the meeting most of the time? He said, which is people are not coming. So I knew it's very hard to do it, but I was always thinking about having community. Our people are legal, they pay tax, they do everything, but they are not benefited from, whatever in United States. So that time I tried to go everywhere. When they call for community, I used to go. So he was there. And now, right now, Mulu is here as a chairperson for our community women. We have a lot of them, like we're 52 of us. We were coming, we were warming up our office and everything we were doing, we were contributing. If women like to contribute, the men are. That's what happens. From any house, the money comes, Am I right? So, we have the strongest women in our community. Women are the doers, just to tell you the truth, because that's why it happened. And we stick together, we working together, and we are going to go. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Aksim. Thank you, Harzuriash. Yes, everyone knows there's no Ashenda without Mulu. So, hi, Mulu, I didn't see you. You're right here. But speaking earlier, I can finish my thought now. I remember I wanted to speak to the fact that our community has been self-sufficient for the last 30 years. And that's not an easy thing to do. It was very challenging. By the way, you guys raised like how many hundreds of thousands? How much money did you guys raise to buy the building? It was under your time that the majority of that money was raised, right? It was over 100,000, I'm sure. Yeah. 120,000. And then the next board, they bought the land almost cash, almost fully cash. So it was a significant raise, and it's hard to do. So fortunately, this whole idea of like it's a marathon and you pass it to the next generation, of course, when we come in, we start getting our first grants. And so our first ones were smaller, from individuals, around $10,000, from an individual person actually who I was sharing a story with, and she's like, I want to help you guys, I want to support you. And it was just that easy of just when people, I always say we're a community hidden in plain sight, because Tagaru are here. We are significant in the Colorado community. Our contribution is significant. We run businesses here, and nobody knew who we were. And I'm like, how do you not know? We're right here. Hello, So, and of course that continues, and then we get our first major grant, which was $250,000 to start planning our building, which, by the way, if Fatui can push the slide, I'm going to take you a little bit into the vision now of what we're trying to do. I don't know if you can see this, but this is what we're trying to build. Yeah. Our chairs may be blocking you, but it is a significant community center. And the service and the amount of work we're going to be able to do for our community once this is accomplished. We have, business retail in the front that we're going to use for business incubation. So to train, we're good at starting businesses, but we want to teach our community how to scale your business so you can, have multiple operations, or you don't have to be there 16 hours a day and miss out on everything your kids are doing, So we have business incubation space. In the middle, we have a museum, because as Tagaru, the reason for Tarik Time is we need to tell our stories. We need people to know who we are. And so we have a museum in the middle of this space that's also a storytelling room that we can do our Tarik Time in, or people can rent that space for small gatherings. We have a commercial kitchen. We have classrooms for our Tigrinya classes, which, by the way, are a huge, huge hit. So I remember, because again, I'm on the front end of the community starting and on the back end now too. Or maybe I got that reversed, but either way, I remember we used to do Tigrinya class after church in my dad's one-bedroom apartment, about 6 or 7 kids, and then myself and my brother, we would go home, and my dad used to pay us $1 for each sound. So, like ha was $1, who was another dollar, like that's how, and we thought it was really fun, and we spent most of that time making fun of my dad's accent and things like that, but it was a lot of fun. And so now we have Tigrinya class, and I saw Mamparshowitz here and others as well. The Tigrinya classes are packed. You would be really surprised and shocked at how smart these kids are, and they're writing paragraphs now. It's really incredible. So Tigrinya class. And then, of course, the entire second floor, if you can see it, is an adarash. And that's how we will be able to pay back loans that we take on the property. And then for ourselves, too, how long are we going to be renting? I love them, but at the Greek church, like, for how long are we going to be doing that? Enough is enough. We have to start, with our own space and our own environment. So I'm really proud of where we are. This is a really big, big, big project. I'm committed to see it through, but we need your help as well. Raising money is very hard. So however you can get involved, please make sure that you do get involved in that. If anyone else wants to speak, just feel free to come up and we'll pass you the mic. Oh, yes, I think that's what.
First of all, I would thanks Mr. Dr. Wildo at this time. And the big, it's my daughter, my best friend, and I got like that. He's not even to call me. What they used to call me, I very start to miss him anyway. But I really appreciate that for all the starters. I was one of them over here too. That one thing I'm going to advise you, that one or two people, the founders of that, Mr. Tarik, should have been included there. I have to be a witness because I was here. But besides that, from the first beginning, we build our community. Everybody dedicated. Everybody to build a community to ourselves, and instead of belongs to somebody's building and paying a lot of $1,000. But now we have the bright side. We have to cooperate. We have to build our building and to be free from others. So thanks, Lita, and thanks, Dr. Wildo Taspai, and also my board members, Mr. Nagash, Mr. Goitom, Mr. Samara Garzgavir, Sege, Elsa, and myself. We work hard too. So, FM, yes, they are coming Susie for a short time. Anyway, we Tigrayans, we are organized and work together, we can do anything. That's our culture, but we have to have this communication, not to get somebody to somebody. We are all Tigrayans. We are few in numbers. You know what we got, but how we get out. By few, Jaganu, to the American. As a woman. Even now, if we work together, we can do it. Mr. Nagash, one of the active members of our money, Yeah, I will appreciate it in community and others. He's a really good person. Now he's an old neighbor or collector of money now. I know he will do it and he's going to do it again. So, thanks everybody coming here. I'm sorry I have something to do right now. I'm going to leave, but I appreciate you. Later, we are behind you. Keep going. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I want to give the mic back to you guys so you can talk a little bit about what your hopes are for the community and moving forward. And
Thank you. The board, which took over from us, I'm sorry that we didn't talk enough, but I've always been appreciating them because they did it. They owned the space. I mentioned that earlier, but I didn't thank them enough. You know, so that is. I know that here. I'm sorry for not mentioning it. You know, we had to reiterate that what you did was a big stride, because if you didn't own that land, the vision that we see here wouldn't have happened. So I want to make sure that I say this. And the other thing, I feel that, and I don't think we have done enough. Toklu Abraham. I was not able to come and attend his funeral, but he was one of those dedicated. I would rank him number one, because whether it was in times of joy or hardship, whether it is in the community or in the church, he was always in the front. It is very sad to lose him prematurely, because I felt that he was not too old to pass that age. So I want to mention that. Second, I'm happy that Wadaba mentioned the La'aka Gawra. La'aka Gawra, whenever we had any difficulty, he was the one we resorted to. And he always had ideas. Because there was nothing, I don't know, that came from him. Always he had something to share with us whenever we had difficulty. So that gratitude, I hope, Military, you will have all these things whenever we talk. These two individuals, they are whom we should always put in the front, because they have always been. Even after he's lost his sight, we were taking him to some places because he was the one who knew how to do things. Having said that, I said earlier my concerns and then my hopes. I am very concerned about the younger generation. During the time of aggression against us, you know that our children, the younger generation, after they heard what was happening to our people, they were leading us. After what is going on back home, I am very saddened that our hopes have been shattered, and the hope of our younger generation has also been shattered. Because of the errors that our political leaders are doing, the hopes of our younger generation, not only back home, but here, it has been shattered. Where is that eagerness to defend our people? Where is that voice that was coming out? It's very disappointing. So we need to do something to make sure that our children continue to say that they are Tagaru and they would defend their people back home and bring that voice that they once had. We have an arduous task ahead of us. So we have to do something about this. We have to work tirelessly to make sure that they come to that state of hope, to that state of care they had to their people. I'm very, very disappointed by the silence that came afterwards, because their hopes have been completely demolished. We, as Tagaru, in the study of identity, there is a distinction between core and non-core aspects of our identity. As Tagaru, there are two which are core aspects of identity now. One, ethnically, we are Tagaru. And religiously, our religious leaders, they have surpassed our political leadership. They not only put the Sea of Salama in place, but in their last assembly, they also formed the Tigray Orthodox Colorado Synod. We are proud of them. So, as I said earlier, I was saying that I have a country whom I should serve. I was also saying that I have a church whom I want to serve. Unfortunately, identity is fluid. Identity is socially constructed. And then the country whom I used to call my country, it shattered my dreams. The church that I was advocating for, it diminished the role of Tagaru to be below the role of the devil. Instead of being led by the Wayane, it is better for us to be led by the devil, by Satan. What does this mean? How can I continue to say, this is my church? How can I say, this is my country? So politically, we have been, Military mentioned it earlier. The awareness, the Tigray awareness was at its highest at one point. Because of the mistake of our political leaders, it has been shattered. Now, we have to work hard to make sure that we bring it back. Second, as religious people, Melati Gashe Brahana Muskal was the founder of the church. Not only the founder of the community association, he was also the founder of the church. Our children are not coming to the church. In the summer, we organized a summer camp. It was meant for the youths, not for the children. The children, they go, their parents take them. Where are our youths? Where are they? They need to be behind the church 20 years from now, 25 years from now. What is the fate of our church? You might have heard the story of the Presbyterian Church. They have not been able to bring in the younger generation to the church, so the Presbyterian Church in many places is being sold. In fact, in Portland, the church we bought was owned by the Presbyterian Church because they couldn't afford. If we do not do that, if we do not galvanize, if we do not move our younger generation to be involved in the community, to be involved in the church, 20 years from now, they will not be our own. I am happy with what Mileti and the board, the other people working with you. I'm happy with what you have done. By the way, it was hard for us. We did all we could. We couldn't succeed on the educated people. We couldn't succeed on the youth. Despite a lot of hard work. Sometimes we see a little hope, and sometimes when we say take over, they were not. Pakistan, they did. And military, this is doable. We'll be doing everything we can in our power. We'll be sharing this to our people. Our people are generous. Our people are able to do it. When they see this, they will be happy. So, it's not my frustration only. It's not my frustration only. I also have hope because we were able to see what the younger generation can do. So we have to do a lot of work, not only in our community, but also in our church. Because the people, the community, the people, they are the same. I know that there are lots of other people who may not belong to our church, but I take one person as an example, Mustafa. He's a Muslim, but he is always ready to support the church because he sees it as something which is owned by the people, by the same people, by his people. So we should work hard in both. We are, as an individual, now I serve my church and my community equally because I know that the church has its own role to play to contribute in the era of social media, in what our children are being exposed to all sorts of things. Now, our children are in great danger. So the church can do its part, and the community can also do its part. In unison, we can do a lot of things together. So we should pay attention to that. So when we contact you, I know that we cannot mix religious matters into our community, but here I'm talking in terms of we as a people. We are the same people in both. The minorities that may not belong to our church, believe me, they will be ready to support the church too. So it's beyond that divide. So I encourage us to work together, and then the fears that we have can be replaced by hopes. So, Melody will be behind you. We appreciate your leadership, and then we will bring your vision to fruition if we work as our vision, yes. We will bring our vision to fruition, and then that is doable. I think that's what I wanted to add.
كله بإنجليزي كويس على حدا جزء بتقريبا تزار ما قدر لنا تقريبا زي سمع بسبلد تقريبا زي سمع وان مكا مجمريا ثانك يو مليتيه أو بتصيلو ارتكيت كفيلو أبي نبارا إنجليزي مثلا دكتور لما أو يدوري مسجانا نسجين فوتو أو تسبش تايما بزح تزارب تاريخات بزح تزرزير I think 2006 2007 تدمك was a chair أنا vice mayor نتبايلو كوتس بزح يتصارني وتدمك thank you إني تدمك ونكون بلاد بدنا عند مرحلة هذا تزي هذا جد كاش مالت هذا تعير كل نجار تاريخ وقعنا نابئنا إحنا أبتي now getting old, who is taking over the youngster. So we don't want to live alone for you guys. We should have to build this and pay it off, then you can own. Right? Exactly. Thank you. So let's see what we have to do. what we have to do. Now, means of way conferring the youngsters. You have to think, how are you going to help your community if we're going to go to build this beautiful. Did you see that? I was totally fat. Okay, I feel something in my, yeah, it's so beautiful to see in picture. Build ገርና በአካል ክንሪኦ ከለና more. ስለዚህ ታይና ንገብር, you guys, you have to think too, not to leave us. How are we going to help? ካርቦሽ ድዩ ሓደ ነገር እንዳገበርኩም ሚኒስ ኦፍ ወይ ፍጠሩ ንሕና እውን ንፍጠር ማለት እዩ። So ድሕሪ ተሓባቢርና በይኑ ድይቦ ዓቀበት ክህለ ይኽእል። We can solve it. We can do it. Unity. ናይ ዘቅድስ ናይ ፖለቲካ ሓደ ይብሉ ሓደ ሃብል ድሌቱ who we are ተጋሩ እናበልና ኢና ተቃሊስና ይኮነ እዚ እውን ተጋሪና ማለት እዩ። ኣብዚኣ ንእሽተን ሰባት ክንርኢ ከለና I feel so bad. እንዲ ዓበይቲ ሰባት ኣለዉ ናይቲ ኮሚኒቲ ኮንሰርን ኮይኖም መፅኦም ክሕግዙና ዝግብኡ ሰባት እዮም። ካብቲ ንሕና ዘለና ዓበይቲ ሰባት እኮ the youngster is very ብኳንቲቲ ደረጃ ክንሪኦ ከለና ንሳቶም ይበዝሑ ማለት እዩ። proud of you, thank you youngster. እናተ ኣየ ክብል ደልየ እዚ ፕላን ነውፅእ how we have to do this ተጀሚሩ እዩ ሰሬና ሸቀቢልና ወይ ድማ ሓሙሽና ሸቀቢልና ክንሰርሐሉ ይግበአና እዩ ማለት እዩ። ኩላና I was thinking last time እንታይ ይሓስብ ነይረስ ከመይ ጌርና ኢና ቢልድ እዚኣስ ክንሃንፃ ንኽእል እንታይ ተገበርና ሓንሽ እንዳበልና ይሓንቲ ንሕና እውን ተቀራሪብና እንድሕር ተመኻኺልና ፕላናት እንዳምፃና ገለመለና ስራሕና ዶክተር ወልዱ እውን መማዕለኹም ከዓ ብኔኻ እሞ just plan it. ከመይ ጌርካ ትሕግዘና ውኾንካ እንታይ ተገበርና ይሕሸና ዝብል ተስብሽ እውን ኩላህና ንመኻኸር እሞ እዛ ህንፃ እዚኣ ኢደ ኢድካልና ክትሰርሕ ማለት እዩ። ንሳቀ እንግዳ ኣይመስግንኩም ኢለይ እሞ ከነወስግነ ይግበአና ብዙሕ ግዜ ሰርሐ ንሱ እውን ኣብ ዝለኣኽካዮ ድማ እምብዘይብል ጀግና ሓውና እዩ እሞ ታንክ ዩ ይስሐቅ እውን ክብለክም ያነለይ ስራሕ ስለዝኣቱ ኸይድ እያ።
Thank you. Actually, I would like to mention a lot of Tagaro who didn't get a chance to be part of board, but still supporting us to whatever we were asking. I had told her and Kasai, whenever we had events or something, yes. Also, they were always the one who come to work and helped us. So I would like to say thank you. So my hope, one of the biggest things this sport had achieved was the size of Kamtana. This is, by the way, this was my dream from the beginning, but we failed to bring it to the point now it reached. Maybe I'm one of the attendees here who got a chance to attend all of Camp Tigray campings. When it was started, it was less than 20 people, and half of them almost on adult age. And we were really worried how we could be able to mobilize the youngsters, which is one of the biggest community focus hospitals. And on the last one, it was around 7 people, adults. So 95 of the attendees was the kids. So it was, it was like dream come true. It was so amazing. It was an absolute Tigray environment. Everybody was discussing about Tigray. Everybody was thinking about Tigray, expressing his plan about Tigray. So my hope, this group to go to Mokale University, and those Tagaro kids from Mokale University to come to Denver and come from that building right there. That is one of my biggest hope to happen. And the other thing that military, AXU, and all those women leaders, they showed us that women leadership how that can take us to the success very easily and quickly. So hopefully this will be reflected in Tigray, so that we'll have women leaders on the top government position, so that Tigray is ready to prosper. And that's my other thing. Regarding our community, I have one very important message, that whatever division happening at home shouldn't be reflected in our community. Community has nothing to do with politics. When it comes to our community association, the only thing that brings us together is the government. So please, we have to be careful on this factor, and let's work together to make this real. Maybe sometimes military tell us, oh, we got 30,000, How much we are ambitious. She go, how much she make us? And I said, sometimes means together, I said, like, that's small this time. Look, in our board time, it took us like a year and a half to get $30,000. This is what leadership means. Someone who knows how to make our dream true, this easy, and make us this much ambitious. So, hopefully this will be reflected in Tigray. And the Tigray and the current government should learn from Denver Board what leadership means. So thank you for your great service and leadership again, and thank you for all action, Miser, and all that I failed to mention. I really want to thank you for your great leadership. Thank you.
Well, a couple things. I know you guys want to give me credit for a lot of this stuff, but really it's a collective effort. I'm not saying that to be like modest. It really is a collective effort and job. So I do want to acknowledge Aksum, Assistant Director, Fitsui, our Office Manager, Edna, our new Youth Director, who's doing an amazing job, and Miser, our former Youth Director, too, who's really amazing. But we have a paid staff. Did you guys have a paid staff? Just kidding. We have a paid staff. Our office is open Monday to Friday. So you can come in. We have a computer you can use. We can help you with services. I'm proud to say that thanks to our community here in Colorado, including non-Tagaru, we're bringing over 30 refugees to Colorado who are stuck in Djibouti, who are stuck in Kenya, who are stuck in South Sudan. This is not like my family in the sense like I know them or you know them. These are our family in the sense they're Tagaru who are stranded. And thanks to the strength and community that we've built here, they're coming to Colorado. And so that's the thing about Denver and the Tigray community of Colorado. I swear to you, the world is watching. It's not an exaggeration. And I mean Tagaru all over the country, for sure, in America, all over North America, but including in Europe, including in, back home, I would argue, they know about the Colorado community. And a lot of that is because of your work, the work of board members before us, but especially now with our young people. So I'll bring you good news, because I know we're all feeling a little discouraged about maybe the lack of voice or the maybe quieter voice that we have for Tigray right now in terms of advocacy. But our young people are active, and they are connecting. And like you said, Camp Tigray is packed. We had to turn people away last year, or this year, I guess. So we're hoping to keep expanding so we don't have to do that. But, we're doing workshops, and we're doing things where the youth are participating, and it's really promising. And they speak about Tigray. And we're developing a program right now, a Tigray leadership program, where we're going to take Tagaru from Colorado youth to Tigray to work on community service projects. And whether that ends up being a reverse, we'll see. But at least halfway, right? We're going to get us there. We're going to do work there and connect our youth. So young people are on board. We just need our elders not to give up. We need you. I know people are exhausted, but we need you to stay connected. And, that's my hope, that the generations keep connecting and we keep moving forward. So is there anyone else who wants to contribute? Lemlem, may
One thing was mentioned about mothers in our community. I don't think there are enough mothers today. But if we are to maintain our language and our culture, what is done in the community, what is done in the church would only serve as a yeast. the greatest work done is at home. If we are to teach our kids Tigrinya, the mothers, I'm saying this, the reason why it's called mother tongue instead of father tongue is because the mothers would be the ones who would be able to teach Tigrinya to their children, because there is a tendency for mothers to spend more time with their children. So, those over here, those mothers here, or parents in general, if we are to help our children become Tagaro, if they want them to be able to speak Tigrinya, a lot of work should be done at home. So I implore parents here to do your part. I know that you have done a lot of work raising your children. I know that when you came here, your plan was not to stay in this country, especially the original comers. Your plan was to go back home after things got better. I always have two things that I mention. One is the going back home rhetoric. Any immigrant, when they come here, I'll stay here for a couple of years and then I'll go back home. So I call it the going back home rhetoric. The second one is, it's reflected among lots of people, is a syndrome among many of us. I call it the preparation for life syndrome. That is, in an attempt to lead a better life back home, our brothers and sisters, they work 14 hours a day. So that is a preparation for life. So sometimes it happens that we don't live our life, and then we remain here. So it's important that as far as we are here, we live our life. It's important that we invest on our children so that they would be able to take over. They would be able to say that they are Tagaro, they'll be able to say that they are able to speak Tigrinya. The reason why I'm mentioning this is a language doesn't come in isolation. A language comes with the culture that the people have, with the history that the people have. So I'm going to air this in every opportunity I have. In the church that I'm serving now, we're doing that. In the community I'm serving now, not serving, but as I consider myself as a community advocate, wherever I go, we are doing tremendous work. And the community association in, not only the community association, even the church, both of them, Denver is known for that, for the community association and for the church we have. So we have to be proud of that, and then we have to contribute our church, our share. So I'm going to continue to promote this in our church, in my community, in my church. Thank you.
Lemlem, if you want to come up, I'll give you the mic. And everyone was talking about their board members, and I realized I didn't thank my board members. I know Kasai, are you still here? I'm not sure where he's at, but Kasai is here, and also Agazi. Were there any other board members here? I want to make sure that I do right also by my board.
نقدم معكم يا خمسين دكتور ولدو أنينا دكنا كنا في عمخاننا فأنا خني ردي المسألة نتحبس المصرايع ممهر مسألة زخانة مالتي لذي أبوش أنا يلبسهم أتي خلفها تزجبر كاي يسرح مالتي بس لا كأول جماعي ولا تقول يا أنت من دقيقين عليهم دكنا أنت من دقيقين رجبنا مالتي السابزين عم تنبي حبيت كاتسا معنيه أنا بشحن شعت ميتين تسعة ثلاثة يزيئته الذي كافتوز تجمرة ناي بأس ديو ناي فقر ديو ناي حاجز ديو زي بيحجز ديو أو كل عتيه لكم عنتي هذا تأخ بالدليل نتهم كرمهم زنبرو نعخهم وبدي حرفهم بالنصر ኩሉ ናይ ኩሉ ስራሕ እዩ ኣድልጎት ክጀምር ንድሕር ጅውን ዝበፅሕ ማለት እዩ ስለዚ ንሓደ ሓደ መስጊና ክንከሎ ይኽእል ንኸውን ግን ንኩልኹም በዓይ ብለና يقنينا كبرت هبلنا صبح صراح صريحكم كل المثل كم تزح حسبكم موخاني نبدأ نحلفه لكن كل كيلو كل كيلو كنفعه تطريبه الطعم ينفع من تاي إذا نحن عبينا سلزمت أنا فرقنا عين فوتونينا نبي أتو تاي قبر حاجة زهبي حتى كم تقولوا زحلفنا يوم من باريو قلنا عقبكم سلز ولدنا انتهي قبر انتهي سرح سلز فلتكم كم تبصحوا كم سرح نفلتنا مالتي لازم بزحي نزل لنا بحو I know شغلي بزحي تطبقتي نايزوم دك انا بزي community service يفوتو volunteer مقدار يفوتو أبانا volunteer قبر يكايو لو ممسي صبح يلو ويكاني كمز بقدي volunteer بزخاتو تقرقلو مصقا تقبلو مالتي صبق سرح مالتي كمتي دكتور ولد زبولو سلازي يقلقلكم عدي أبزخ يقلقلكم زمان فليتين إذا دين كنقول كلنا خلحنا برضو نقولين خلي فرقنا بدحرينا قلقل لنا فرقنا بقولني فرقنا بقولني وريما سلازي أنا نزان بسي كان شلون شعرت اللي تندس عن فلسطين كسار تزول هو مس وتقصي على ديون مس كلمتين بزقوا العقمي أقلقلي بزق قلقلي وكل قلقلي وقعد خوني بزقوا لوجي اللهم مالتي أقول زدلو خزنا بركو هذه ملئتي لتنبر نتهم ناي بورد ممبرز ملئتي تنول كلنا إن شاء الله سلزخونت president سلزخونتنا ملئتي نمرزل نمبر we meant all of you all the board members all the youngsters who are helping Maliti, who are helping us to get to this point. So when we mention Maliti, means she is the chair, she is the head, and you guys are under her. But we are thanking each and every one of you. So you know, we're so proud of you. I brag a lot about you. Everywhere I go, be like Coloradans. We are teachers. You go some other states. They know you. So please, keep working, keep volunteering, keep the good job that you're doing. This is not just for us. As elderly, it will help me. When I get older, if I get that chance, I'm going to go to my community instead of nursing home or some other bingo places. I'm going to go to my community. There is a hope. You're going to file all the papers for me. I'll be insured, taken care. There is a lot we can do. And for you, these are my grandkids and my cousin that I brought them to learn, to know. For you, for our kids, for our grandkids, they have a home. They belong. I want them to say, I'm from Tigray. I'm Tigray. They will know you by then. Everybody will know you. You're making a name for yourself. You know you belong somewhere. So please work hard so we can have this and more. Okay? Be in charge in politics, in everywhere. Sky is the limit. So I want to say thank you to the board for doing this. Now 3 of you came. Next time will be 6. Okay? Invite others too. The other thing is, the Bob mentioned it, like in 1993, when conflict in a church, when we were dealing with the church, I think half of you were here, half of you might not remember. Johanna Mescal, Haile Mikhail, Lark was the one who was fighting. He was from the start to now. So if you get a chance, please invite me. Really? Oh, he is. Okay, okay. I really would like to see him here. The other thing I want to ask is, I don't know if it's plan. When you put, you will be here. Someone from before, older person who were in charge, and someone young. Let's ask what he can learn from that, or what his ambition is. What can he do? Are they communicating somehow? Are we missing in between? Let's just, that gap, that bridge, let's connect it. Instead of just putting the young here, the old here, the one in the middle. So the grandmas can be here, the grandpas can be here, but the others, meet them. This is Tarik. Yes, I would like to say, for people who are here, if we are committed, we can say, okay, I'm happy. I was not aware. Now I'm aware. I see the picture. I am willing to participate and give this, or take the papers, or become a member. I'm one of the members of us today. So I'm begging you, starting now, please give for a good cause. Lahat بزخألنا له. member نكون نفوق بالأحوال أخنا نغلينا. وكعت ورقة وسيدنا من إلى نحاينه. أونلاين يمكن دوبرا مسألين همو. صراحة يسلم كونه. قدر من قدي يلمنا عنه كونه. ودعي حتى كانوا كله خبرات. كنواس إنه إذا جزانا أخنا الآن. أنت تتعينه. كل member كاتبينه. كفاية تزغلان. وقالت أنا تجاري ما يعني أنا. I'm Sasa, let's say everybody should pay 2,000 or 5,000. It's this time. لأني اللي كبرتي هذا اللي زمدك أي نفعات.
Ashi, I'm not gonna kill your time. Okay. I have to thank people while we are alive, you know. Most of the time in our community, we thank them after they pass away or something like that. So we have to change this tradition, especially for any events on every term, I guess. Our Amaniel and Haile Tolder, they always there. Anytime you ask them to serve, they are there, collecting money and tickets, everything. Thank you so much. Second, let me get Aksumawit. She was a star with us when she was working with us in a board. And then she's a star in Wa'ala. She was the most dedicated and she served a lot. So I thank her. And two unique people. Earlier she was mentioning from my board, Kahsai, and another Kahsai. We have another Kahsai, is Barakat's dad. They are kind of unique people. When I was in the board, when we were working in the board, they are out of the board. But Kahsai Abraha, who is in the board right now, he used to do this. When he passed by, he sees this red thing notice for, what do you call this? Sa'ari galimele. Yeah, long, yeah. So, if he sees that, he takes it off. So he goes and he used to use his machine and cut it all. And he let us know by calling us. Look how dedicated he is. He did this so many times. Or he calls us and to help. I think Haile Winner comes in Hadigze. Yeah, he called people and he cut the grass. One. The second Kahsai, Barakat's dad, we don't know him for a long time, but he used to come and put the, what do you call it? After we buy the house, the property, he brings coffee machine, something, some materials we see there. So we ask Gash Alamayo, who brought us this? Kasai, how come you don't know him? He's Tagadalai, he's Tigray, but we never see him. And then our women, they ask me when we come for the coffee time, who bought this one? Kasai. Who is this Kasai? Kasai Gebra Jesus. He said he's Tagadalai, but I never met him. So finally, one day I met him and he told us, he's Barakat Sadat. So this is unique, we don't see them. They're busy, I guess, but they do a lot of things. And 3 people let me mention. Haile Girmay is Mulia's husband, Yarit Bayru, and Nugusa. They bring their kids to the community. They come with us. Sometimes we don't have here. They were the one they run to the store and buy the stove nigger, something. They buy us heater and stuff like that. They stick with us, they help us, they were empowering us. So those 3 people, I appreciate them a lot. I didn't want to go without. And for this building, we have to stand. Everybody has to stand. We're going to tell our elders, but how about the old style? Like we used to have community event, and then right there we can, work on collecting money. Let's do both, old and new ones. Thank you.
يا أمير ليس عندك زي نبله أنا كان كمسن الدلي ما استلدك أنستي أي كوميونيتي زي أنا حنا دك أنستي وزح جزء آخر يسوع سر أي نسي هاي كن قبرني هنا ناتنا قادرنا مستلنا ورا بورد أنا حنا حدا شع أكون نبل حدا شع بنا نبل مخنياتوس من الباش دك أنستي تتأكلنا دك أنا كنا نتسأل خير أسوتنا كنا نتسأل خير سلازي هاي كن قبرني هنا حنا نبقانينا حدا شع أكون نبلا حدا شع بنا ساعات نبلا دك أنستي من سأمس جمرنا كاب 8 سب لعلي أبال غيرنا هنا الشعيطة كاو حاليفو زوم لنور بورد بتعمينا حديثنا هنا قدمهم لنور للزرياش مخنياتو تجنزلنا أخوس سلالي نبرة على سراكيوس أوفيس جزء نكارة ولمنا نخد حسابنا تودعنا وصل نبهال هاي نقبرينهم تيجي نقتلو اتماريت زيكو جازو أنحنا بقول نقول إننا بوش جرنايو يقلي لنا هالعيلة أنا خزي للملئت هزبورد زي تريترنو بتعمل يا بحقوس مخنياتو لمن يكمسكن ندل قدمكم لنور بورد لأخاتم لمنسى لنبرق علسي ملئت اللي تفلط يا أخي معرو باندال بهال صرفي بزح صرفتا ترى صرفتا تلي أريتو صرفهم يبتم لنور بورد لأخات منصير عندي كنت حقوس تخونو خاز تريوهم ترلهم اللي أنا اللي حقوس سلازي تم لنور بورد مريت جزيئو منا بسجاية زرياش إلسا ودبا مليو قويتو نجاش زيهم بملو بتعمي لما سجنو مخنياتو مريت حيزو من 5 اللي تصنحو لابزي كنا تصحينا قدمي للولدشا بتعمي للنقو ولدشا قاعد احنا نتسخى تعمينا نمسجد تسفش ساتم أتنا خيركم وامسلت أناهم أرادي دمو خذ لدكنا لابزي خوصحنا يلو سلازي أنا الدلي أني اللي أنا حنا بقول لكم خوينا أنا اللي عليه برد خوينا أي فلتي نادك أنستو خوينا سارحية كبرد بالعلي سارحية تولهم الجنان خوينا تايمي جنزبي بتعمي اللي سرح مخنياتو بتعمي كوميونيتي كلونا لدلي تشرش يكون كوميونيتي بتعمي اللي جنجل كجنجل اللي دلي كازجن كابلن دي بتكريستيان تجزء لنا قديم ينبري بعنا إنا جزينا يو خازلا مكينا حتينا جلمنا يولتهم دك أنا أنا خارق خوني خد كافتل لما بنا يوجين أنا برضو خوينا معلش نادت كريستيان هنسأكم في خوينا سبيل صراحة تقرأوا وهاوي
بحنت سنبت خلتها 176 أجنينا إنا شيء سلازي لترفله موزحت 10 شيء 20 5 هم معقوله وإيه خزن كن جورا لنا قد ما خزنت أيامنا كمينا اتوجهنا بزحيو حدا أبان أبخذ جزء خوف له بحدا جزء خوف له أكفافلا غيره مجمرع بعنا نجمر كبدق كملنا مجمرع بعتنا كنقبل زي أنا لله كنت شيء صحنا 15 صحنا هم بهم أعمنا كنخوف لنا زي أكتقول مقنعته كفت بتكرسيان له لمدن هنا أيو جزينا أنا بتكرسيان قليلو جنزل يقول سلازي هم جرده كنقول لنا له من اثنين يعني له Thank you all. I think we have to wrap this story time up. It's been a long and beautiful conversation. We plan to do it again. This is just, I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg. It's not even a little bit of our story. It's very little. So we're grateful for all of you. We're grateful for all of the shoulders that we stand on. It's really impossible to name every name and every person who had a role in getting us to where we are today. But I think we have a clear vision moving forward. On your desk, on your chairs, actually, we are beginning a campaign in January called the Family Campaign, and we're asking for every family to contribute $2,500 toward our new building. It may cover. We're trying to raise about 20% of the property cost from our community, a little bit less than 20%. The rest of it we intend to do through loans and grants and through other mechanisms, but we need everyone to be a part of this campaign. So there's some information there. We'll start being more aggressive with the campaign in January. And not just with Tagaru, by the way. We're asking our friends who are not Tagaru to join our family hand in hand to raise the money for our beautiful community center, which I'm just going to say is going to be built next year. I don't know that for sure. But I am confident that we can do it if we raise the money and we do what we should do. Tagaru have proven again and again that we can do anything that we say we will. And so thank you all for your leadership. To board members and community members in the audience. We're so grateful. And our future is bright. The Tigray community in Colorado is truly a beacon for Tagaru all over the world and certainly in North America. So thank you all so much for being a part of our Tarik time.